next week, I'm traveling to Barcelona for Shoptalk Europe. And I'm going with a very specific question. Why are some companies able to expand internationally almost effortlessly, while others spend millions entering new markets and still struggle to grow? Most people think the answer is product, or pricing, or marketing. And while all of those things matter, I think they are missing something much more fundamental, something that's hidden in plain sight. And this is language. Not translation, language. In fact, over the last few years, I've become convinced that something that sounds strange the first time you hear it, that language is infrastructure. And next week in Barcelona, I'm going to test that idea. Imagine a company launches into 3 new European markets. The product is solid, the pricing is competitive, the marketing budget is substantial, everything looks ready. But a few months later, the results are disappointing. Conversion rates are lower than expected, support tickets increase, customers abandon the checkout process. Retention isn't where it should be. So the company starts investigating. Maybe it's the pricing. Maybe it's market fit. Maybe it's the acquisition channel. Maybe it's the economy. Maybe it's seasonability. They hire consultants, they analyze dashboards, they build reports, but almost nobody asks a much simpler question. Do customers actually experience the brand in a way that feels natural, trustworthy, and relevant in their own language? Because every interaction a customer has with a company is mediated through language. The product page, the onboarding flow, the checkout experience, the support conversations, the help center, the emails, the notifications, everything. And if the infrastructure underneath those moments isn't working, growth becomes dramatically harder. What's interesting is that this isn't just intuition. A study by CSA Research found that nearly 40% of consumers will never buy from a website that isn't available in their native language. Not that they prefer not to, not that they are less likely. Never. Think about that for a second. Companies invest heavily in payments infrastructure, logistics infrastructure, security infrastructure. You may still treat language as an afterthought. That's not a translation problem. That's an infrastructure problem. I spent the last 20 years working in localization and international growth. Back in 2004, I was involved in launching Sing across 15 different languages. At that time, that felt ambitious. Since then, I've worked with global brands through Beluga Linguistics, help companies scale internationally across multiple markets. And one pattern keeps repeating itself. The companies that treat language as an operational system consistently outperform the companies that treat it as a marketing task. The difference isn't always visible immediately, but over time it compounds. Trust compounds, conversion compounds, customer experience compounds, eventually market share compounds. What's changed recently is AI. For years, producing multilingual content was expensive. Today, it isn't. AI has dramatically reduced the cost of creating content in multiple languages. In theory, that should make international growth easier, right? But I think it's created a new challenge because now everyone can generate content. The barrier isn't production anymore. The barrier is consistency. The barrier is quality. The barrier is governance. The barrier is making sure your brand still sounds like your brand across every market you operate in. Who owns the voice? Who defines quality? Who approves the standards? Who ensures that AI-generated content actually resonates with local customers? Most companies don't have answers to those questions. They have tools. They have subscriptions. They have workflows, but they don't necessarily have a system. And that's where infrastructure comes in. The companies winning internationally today aren't the ones using the most AI. They are the ones combining AI with strong operational frameworks. They have turned language into a strategic capability. So that's why I'm going to Shoptalk. Not to collect business cards, not to attend presentations, of course I will, but not to chase the trends. I'm going because I want answers. I want to understand how the companies operate at the highest levels are approaching this challenge. How are they managing language across dozens of markets? How are they integrating AI into their workflows? How are they protecting brand names? How are they balancing speed and quality? What systems have they built? What mistakes have they made? What would they do differently if they started again today? I'll be speaking with operators, founders, technology providers, and maybe localization leaders. People who are actually responsible for making international growth work. I'm particularly interested in separating signal from noise. Because right now there's a lot of noise, right? Everyone is talking about AI. So everyone is talking about automation. Everyone is talking about scale. But very few people are talking about what happened when those systems meet real customers in real markets. So that's what I want to explore, and I invite you to join me. My hypothesis is simple. The next generation of global companies won't treat language as content. They'll treat language as infrastructure, just like payments, just like logistics, just like security. The question is whether the companies building the future already think this way. And next week, I'm going to find out. Over the coming few days, I'll be documenting what I learned in Barcelona. The conversations, the ideas, the systems, the decisions, and most importantly, the lessons that can actually be applied inside real businesses. Then I'll come back and share everything. So no conference highlights, no buzzwords, no hype, just practical insights from the people building international growth at scale. If that sounds interesting, subscribe and follow along. If international expansion is already on your roadmap, I'd love to hear what challenges you're facing. Leave a comment below. See you after Barcelona.